Welcome to Fired Up. I am your host, Tammy Shike. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope that the topics we discuss can make you fired up. Welcome to today's segment of Fired Up. I'm so excited. Today we're going to speak with Kevin. Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, Tammy. Well, my name is Kevin Orpert, and I have been the weatherman at Channel 10. I had been for many, many years. I developed an interest in weather years ago. I must have been 4 or 5 years old when my grandmother would tell me these stories about. She would say things like, "Well, Kevin, there's enough blue in the sky to patch a Dutchman's britches. You know, it's not gonna rain." And it would, or she would say, ring around the moon, rain coming soon. And a lot of times it would. So I was enthralled by the idea that my grandma knew what the weather was going to be with these little sayings that she had, these little poems and so on. And so I thought that was really, really cool. And that was my first introduction to weather, you know. And plus I also have always had this passion for broadcasting. Uh, I remember I was in fifth grade and I was listening to the radio, and a friend of mine who was in fifth grade, his mom worked at the local radio station up in Peru, Indiana, which is my hometown. So I went out with my friend Scott to meet the guy at the radio station. And the disc jockey walked out of the control room, and Tammy, it might as well have been the Pope. It was like, oh, and I went home that night and built a little fake radio station in my basement, and within about the next few months started broadcasting little news reports and so on to my neighbors out in the country. So
I've never heard that story. I love that so much.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. So what I've been able to do really with the weather and broadcasting, if nothing else, I can tell you that I am a person who is. I'm so fortunate because I've made a career uh, on being me, basically. It's like I never really sounds bad, but I never really had to work really, really hard to do what I do. It just came so easily. It's just
Well, it does not sound bad, and it sounds like you were when we are genuine in our life. I think life goes more easily, and so
yeah,
you have always been genuine. There's never been a time that any of us have spoken with you, seen you on air that we didn't know. Well, that's Kevin.
yeah,
That we
well,
and how lovely, right? Because it comes off that
yeah.
way as well. So, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, I was the weatherman at Channel 10 for oh 40 years. I worked at Channel 10 for 42 years. And Tammy, we worked really, really hard to build that station up. Now I have to be careful here because I signed something that I wouldn't bash
Understood.
the owners. But
Understood.
needless to say, the station changed dramatically within the last year.
Sure.
And people I've worked with for my entire tenure there at Channel 10 got fired before I did. And I started seeing people that I knew and loved that we've gone through things like with marriages and the deaths of parents and the
Sure.
births of children and so
Sure.
on. It's like a really close knit family. And that has all been just taken away because of what I think is probably poor management.
Sure.
So I just have felt lost uh, because this is what I did all my life. And it's the best way for me to describe it, Tammy, is that um, it was, it's my identity.
Absolutely. Well,
You know,
absolutely it is.
it's not like I was going into, and I don't know, like to put somebody down who does this, but it's not like my dad worked at a factory for years, but he went in and operated a machine and he came home.
Absolutely.
What I did was different
Yep,
because that was my identity. That's who I was. My dad was not the machine operator.
I got it.
Makes sense?
Yep,
So, so this has been difficult for me,
absolutely.
trying to adjust to a new life,
Sure.
you know? Um, and it has been kind of difficult, actually.
Oh, I can't imagine. So I can say a couple of things from outside looking in. So not only was it your identity, but anything in the media is it's an interesting proposition
Mm.
because if I ever watched you and I knew your name was Kevin and I know that our community did this, so I think I'm pretty safe in all of this. We think we know you. I mean, we think
Oh,
we know
yeah.
you. And so no matter where you went, no matter what you did, someone said hi Kevin to you. I will bet my next frozen Coke on it because every just we just felt that we knew
Yeah.
you. And so I mean, I've been in a blessed position to know you, but my I think my point is still the same. So having that and being very much like you said, it is your identity because it was you,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's not like, and God bless all professions. If I was an artist, which I'm not, but I would love to be, that would be delightful. And so my art would be part of me, but this is different because this is you as a human, right? My art would
Yes.
speak for myself. Your father's job with the machine would speak for itself. However, this is you. This is who you are.
Yeah.
And so saying to you after you've done this for so many years, oh, by the way, tomorrow, yep, we're not doing this, had to be a shock to the system.
Yeah, it was. I knew it was coming. Uh, I had known probably since July of last year that my position was going to be eliminated. I just didn't know when.
Sure.
And that was painful enough because every day
Absolutely.
you'd walk in and say, "Well, is today the day?"
Wow.
Um, so, but finally, it happened, and so now I'm just
Figure out
trying
what's
to,
next.
yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm writing a little article for the Prairie Press
Love that.
up in Paris, Illinois,
Okay. Love that.
and because all through when I was doing weather, on the air, I did things like with my grandma with the weather lore, the old
Right.
stories, and things like that. And so I'm writing more along about things like that. I,
Love
you know,
that.
I think I'm done being on TV, Tammy.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
whatever, like whatever that works out to, what next can be whatever your next part of that is. Can I just tell you personally, my opinion? The fact that you're using some of those things from your grandmother
Mhm.
from growing up and using at this point now, what a lovely testament to her. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that touches my heart. But that has nothing to do with our general
Okay.
conversation. I guess what I'm interested in is, and I'm not suggesting whether it's TV or whatever the next part is. I guess the interesting thing to me, twofold. One is Terre Haute's an interesting place.
Yes.
God bless all of us. We tend to have a myriad of opinions on any subject. We could fight over how green the grass is. I mean, whatever
Oh,
the
yeah.
subject is,
Yeah.
we would have a lot of different opinions
Mhm.
on it. As an outsider, um, from the outside looking in, what was interesting about your job coming to an end from the public perspective, I'm not talking about what on the inside, but as a community, we were honked off.
Oh, yeah.
We were really because as much as that was your identity, I think we live in a world where we don't always feel safe for
Mhm.
whatever reason,
Right.
and there's so much in our lives that tend to be so changeable, right? And so you became, for lack of a better way of putting it, the constant in Terre Haute.
Yeah.
In some ways, I think that's absolutely true. And so there's something stabilizing and comfortable about seeing our friend on TV every day. Because of who you are as a human, not only, and these are my opinions, not only did you tell us about the weather, but you told us in a way that we believed you and we trusted you. So if it was whether it was a storm or whether whatever was going on and bad things happen in weather and all these things
Mhm.
are coming up, we just trusted you because we knew you, because we saw you out at the grocery store, and because we saw you out at the different thing. You became um, kind of the beacon of what we can believe
Oh, well, bless your heart.
in a
Thanks.
world that there are many things that we don't believe in, right? I
Yeah.
mean, because we have different opinions about the grass, you know that we're going to have different opinions on other things. So I think when we kind of joined together as a community and went, oh, no, no, you've taken our friend away
Yeah.
from us. Um, I can't tell you how that felt for you, but I can tell you observationally, it really rocked the community because it took that constant away.
Yeah. Yeah. It did. And, one thing, and um, it kind of got me. I guess I realized that I'd been there for a while at Channel 10, but uh, after the job was over and I would see people at the store, and
Sure.
whatever, they would say, "You've been on as long as I've been alive," and I thought, "Gee whiz, am I really that old?" But that's how it was just like, because like Patrice, she was there 37 years and
Sure.
I was there 42 years. Um, you get to watching somebody for a certain length of time, and that's just the way it is.
Right, and that's your person, right? Like I
Yes.
said,
Yeah.
whether you knew our names or not, you were our person.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that disruption had to be like I said, it was disruption from the outside. Now talking about how it is for you, when who you are is who you present to us, because that's what I would tell you from the outside looking in
Yeah.
is it wasn't you just pointing to a map and saying, okay, this is where the high front is or the whatever. I'll
Right.
mess that up. Don't make fun of me.
No, 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 no.
Um,
You're
um,
fine.
but it was more than that for us. So, and I believe it was because you took us along for the ride. I could report, you could give me words to read and I could read them for
Yeah.
you. I mean, I'm, pretty and way able to do that. But that's not what you did. You brought us along to you personally. And so as you were talking to us, it was having a personal conversation, even though I could identify that you weren't sitting in my living room, right? So I think that from our standpoint, that was where our disconnect came from. Now, from your part, like I said, I think it's very true to say you you are Kevin.
Yeah.
And so when they took something away from you that had been important since you were in the 5th grade,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that had to be like, wait, where's my floor,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not smart enough to suggest what you do next. I will never be smart enough to do that for another human. But what I can suggest to you is I can tell you how important you are. I can tell you that what you give us is something that we all needed. You filled a void for us that none of us could have told you we needed. Like you couldn't have taken me aside and interviewed me
Yeah.
and say, "What did you get out of Kevin today?" I would be like, "Well, I don't know, the weather." I mean, that is
Yeah.
what I would have said,
Yeah.
right? But when you were taken away from us, then what we realized is you gave us something more than that. And so what I'm saying to you is you talked about writing, and I love that you're writing things that you
Yeah.
talked about with your grandmother. I think all of that's
Yeah.
delightful. But I'm also encouraging you. We live in a weird world
We do.
where things that weren't possible with 5th grade Kevin are possible. I mean, like, let's talk about growing up. Somebody talked to us about a podcast years ago. We would have gone, "I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
know what that
Right.
is.
Yeah.
Like, is that NASA? Like, what are we
Yeah.
talking about here?" So we're living in this world where all sorts of different possibilities are there. And what I'm saying to you is, I think this becomes a really fun part of your life because when you were at the station, your time was dictated by when you went into work, and
True.
if there was a storm, then you had to go in extra. I'm assuming because I
Yes.
saw you
Yes, it
extra.
was. Yeah.
So ignorant statements maybe. So your life was dictated by someone else. Now you're at a place in your life where sky's the limit. Ha! See,
Yeah,
pun
that's cute. Oh,
intended.
I like that.
Pun
Yeah. Yeah.
intended. Yeah, I got that one.
If I was still on TV, I'd use that. Yeah.
As well, you should. Well, you can use it today.
Okay.
What I'm suggesting to you is when the floor drops out in some one way or another, then what's there's a God quote that says, then faith is the belief that when I step, there will be something hard to step on, right?
Right.
Because
Okay.
when we don't see what's there and we just know we have to take a step, we're going to have faith that when we step down, there's going to be a
Mhm.
hard surface that catches us. So I'm suggesting to you, and I've referenced this before, I would be Glinda. If I could be anybody, it would be Glinda. I'm really into the pink and I would have a magic wand. And
Yeah.
how bad can a crown be? Not at all. If I had my Glinda wand for you and you could do anything, have you even thought what that would be?
Um, I want to write.
Okay,
You know,
love
I
that.
like writing. I like just sitting up in my office and doing the research and writing and so on.
Love that.
Um, and I don't know. And Tammy, that's a really good question because I'm not sure I want to commit to something that I'm 70 years old. I just turned 70. So I'm essentially retired.
Well, I'm not going to ask you to commit to anything. What
Get
I'm
it?
asking you to do is let the world be your oyster, right? Like let instead of I think that so often, this is again, I'm always entitled to my opinion, it doesn't make it right. My opinion is that when we think of the word retirement, we think of kind of going to seed, right? Like they've done their time,
Mhm.
they've done their stuff. Okay, that's great that you did the machine for 30 years. I think that's lovely. We don't need you anymore. And what I'm suggesting to you just from living in this community is in whatever way that it resonates for you, we still need you.
Oh,
That's
that's
all I'm
very
saying.
kind. Yeah, that's
So
yeah,
so and I can't tell you what that is.
yeah.
Like I'm not smart enough to do that, but what I can say to you is if we open our mind up to the fact that we still have more to give, because it becomes very easy when someone from an external force, just saying, says to us, you're done,
Mhm.
right? Because ostensibly from the community view, that's what happened to you. Somebody from an outside force
Right.
came in and said, okay, well, you're finished. Thank you so much. That can be a defining moment in a lot of different ways. It can be a moment where we say to ourselves, well, I guess I'm done, right? Like, okay, I guess I'm done. I don't own the station, so I can't make that
Yeah.
decision, right? I'm not going to go in and be able to change that decision. But my question comes more from you have so much to give and you are so loved. If you allow yourself to think about, like I said, I think it's a question. My stance on life is hard chargers are hard chargers because we tend to be kind of tough on
Mhm.
ourselves. We expect a lot of ourselves. So I would have to guess, you can absolutely tell me I'm wrong, that there were moments in those 42 years where somebody called and said, you got to get here, storm's coming in, whatever, that you went not begrudgingly, but you went because you were that fifth grade kid
Oh,
that
yeah.
had his own station
Yeah.
figured out. And they said, come on, Kevin, we need you. And you're like, let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was the thrill, Tammy. It was the rush that we would get because and I always hated when the severe weather was around because
Sure.
you knew somebody might get hit by a
Sure.
tornado or bad wind or whatever, but still that rush to be at the station when a storm warning comes in and we run into the control room and say we got to go on, we got to get this on the air, and it was just like bam, 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 and it's just that excitement. And part of what I miss now is not just that, but the creative process every day, Tammy,
Sure.
of when I would, before I left the house, I would look at the forecast and say, how am I going to describe what's going on today? And you mentioned something earlier about how you felt like I was talking to the people. I always tried to keep in mind I was going to explain the weather as if I was talking to my mom.
Love it.
And because my mother, she was one of my biggest critics, bless her heart. Uh, but she would say, "Well, I don't understand what you're saying," and I would try to talk to my mom
Love
in
that.
in the kind of language that my mother would use, and rather than a lecture about the weather, you know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Just saying, hey, you're going to feel colder. And I've also felt, I'm going to give away a lot of things. Weather is a feeling. Okay. Here's what you're going to feel when you go out. You're going to feel cold. You're going to feel hot. You're going to feel this. You're going to notice that. And those kinds of things I would put together because I knew that when you stepped outside, Tammy, and I told you earlier it's going to be windy, that's one of the first things you're going to notice. And you go outside and it's windy, your recall is going to be, oh yeah, Kev said it was going to do that. You want to
100%.
it's just I'm fascinated by communication and how we verbally, communicate with one another. And anyway, that's I'm
No, no,
rambling.
I love it. So, but that's what I'm saying to you. Like, all you did was exacerbate what I was saying in that we trust you. And
Yeah,
so, what you may or may not have put the pieces together of in that trust, you're helping me, right? Because if I don't listen to you and I go out and it's windy and crazy and all of those
yeah,
things and I'm taken by surprise or there's a bad potential weather and I haven't prepared for it, or all of those things, what you did for us is not only gained our trust, but you helped us. So part of this creatively, I loved you thinking about weather being a feeling. I've never thought of that. I mean, that's such a cool concept to
oh
me.
yeah, it is
It's
because you
absolutely
feel
true.
yeah, you feel weather.
Right. But
Yeah,
hand to God, like I would never have been able to say that to you. But
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And in that helping us, what I'm trying to say is, so if creatively, if writing is where what you're enjoying, then I think I'm all about that. Like
okay,
I would get in line to read it because I trust you and I know you're going to help me. Like because you've already built that with me. So that's hardwired in me.
right.
Kevin, trust, he's going to help me. You have been a people advocate, which I bet you haven't thought
I
of.
haven't. No.
You have been a people advocate because you've taken care of me to make sure that if I was taking my mom when she was on this planet and I was taking her to the doctor, I made sure she had a coat because I had
Okay,
listened
gotcha.
and Kevin said it's going to get it, the wind's going to it's going to drop, the temperature going to drop this afternoon. So I was like, no, we got to take this coat for you. So you helped me, I helped my mom, we were able to do that together.
Yeah,
So my point to that is I still think there's a whole lot of Kevin that's being able to help people still in there. And I don't think my opinion, I'm entitled to my opinion. I don't think you've tapped the surface on that. And what I'm trying to say to you is, Kevin, I I think that you've done not only a beautiful job because that has been your job, and I think that's lovely, and you've done it in such a way that, like I said, I always felt like you were talking to me. I'm like, oh, okay, Kevin, I got you. I'll go get my coat.
yeah.
I've always felt that way. But what I'm saying to you is, as this abrupt um, detour has happened in your life, I don't know what the right thing for you to do is. But what I'm suggesting to you is if you keep your mind open to there being so many more possibilities for you, like I said, I can't, whether it's on air or not, I
Yeah,
have I have nothing on that. But I'm telling you, the joy that you got out of figuring out how to tell me that it was going to be chilly so that I know I needed a jacket or that someone I love
yeah,
needed a jacket, you still have that and you have our trust in that. And I think that this could go from being a closed door to Wizard of Oz is one of my favorites. And so
oh yeah,
I want you to have the visual image of Dorothy opening that black and white door
right. Okay.
and looking out and seeing all of the beautiful color because that was just the cool part for me. Never have liked the monkeys, just going to put that out there. They were never my favorite. But I want you to have this part of your life be Dorothy's door where the colors are beautiful and where something out there for you that I'm not smart enough to tell you is out there for you because if someone is that loved in our community, I don't think it's appropriate to say you're done. And but what you do from here is up to you.
Yeah,
Like you said, you enjoyed the writing. So whether that's writing every day, whether that's writing a manifesto,
yeah,
whether that
yeah,
whatever that is, I have no equity in that. But my what I heard most from you today is perhaps I could be wrong, but perhaps that door closing mentally kind of messed with you.
Yeah, it did.
It would mess with
Yeah,
me. So
it did.
I am not telling you how you feel. I'm telling you in that situation, I think it would mess with me.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to say to you is you have no idea how cool Kevin is.
Well, bless your heart. Here's the thing, Tammy, and you mentioned this. This has been like a death
Mhm.
for me,
100%.
uh, because not only did my job, I was fired. I was going to retire in about a year, but they got rid of me. Um, So, not only that, but the station itself, something that I was personally invested in, that I was
100%.
so proud of, that we built up the ratings and the
Sure.
viewership and so on. It's just bam, it's gone. So not only did I lose my job, I also lost a partner, so to
Absolutely.
speak.
Well put.
Yeah,
Well
yeah.
put.
So I'm going through, it's been only 5 months. So I'm still going through what I would say are the stages of grief.
Absolutely.
I'm angry part of the time.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I'm sad.
Yep.
Other times I'm depressed, and other times I'm fine. But
All makes sense to me.
yeah,
All makes
yeah.
sense. I'm just like I said, my suggestion to you is just live in that, right? Because you have to live. If you don't go through those places, then they stay with you.
Yep.
So you have to move through them in order to get rid of them, if you will. Some part of grief is always with us with when it's whether it is part of our lives, whether it is someone has been in our lives. My father died when I was just a child, and I didn't know he was terminal. He did. And one day he would take me on drives and tell me stuff. I now know that that was him trying to tell this small child everything she needed for the rest of her life,
Oh, yeah.
except I just cared where my next cheeseburger was coming from.
Yeah, but
But one of the things he said that stuck was as long as you love someone and they're in your heart, they're never gone from you. That's the one that I've fallen back on in my life when I've lost people from
mhm,
my life. What I'm suggesting to you is a riff on that is work through all of this and do all of those things. But I'm suggesting that as you walk through, know that this was not just a job. You were not just a person. You were someone that we came to love and trust, and I think that's pretty huge in life when you get to a place in your life where you can look back and say, did I move that machine every day? I think that's an important thing, and whatever
oh
that
yeah, it
machine
was. Yeah.
did was an important thing for many other people that your father never actually saw.
Mhm.
With that same image, I'm asking for you to see that in you, that you did more things than you ever probably knew that you were doing. And I'm just suggesting that although it sounds contrite, but for me, I have some sweat equity in this because I care. I'm suggesting to you that although something that was completely out of your control happened to you that changed your trajectory, I'm just suggesting that what's next can be amazing and can be completely out of their control as well.
All right. No, that makes sense. That takes me into something that has been very helpful to me, and I don't know if you're familiar with stoicism.
I am familiar with
Uh,
stoicism.
I That has been a big help for me
Sure,
because the bottom line of stoicism, you think of a stoic as somebody who just has no feeling or whatever, and
not true.
that's not it at all. It's realizing what you have control over and what you don't.
100%.
And the only thing you have control over, the only thing, the way I see it, is what I think and how I behave.
100%. 100%. I talk a lot about in my control, out of my control.
Yeah.
So, and often where we get caught up is out of our control, right? Things that are out of our control that we
Oh,
want to
yeah.
control. And so, if we can refocus and come over here to, I've got to focus over here on the things that I can control. And that would be my homework for you. I always finish these segments with homework.
Okay, good.
My homework for you would be that if you would allow yourself to think of what you have done with our community as something more than telling us when to put a jacket on,
Okay.
but becoming someone that we love and trust. As you do whatever is next, know that you're taking us along with you. You've already got your fan club.
Oh,
we're going to come along
Okay.
and we're going to be there to support whatever is next. And I think that's a pretty cool marker in life that that is what you've cultivated.
Great.
Is that a fair?
That is fair.
Thank you so much. This has been
Thank
such a
you,
joy.
Tammy. We go way back. I don't know how long. I'm not going to say how long I've known you, but and you look great, by the way.
Well, thank you.
So,
If I'd known you were going to say that, I would have started you at the beginning by saying something like that.
yeah.
Well, your daughter took dancing lessons, so
Oh yes, yeah.
it goes back a minute. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Tammy.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Fired Up. Obviously, this has been one of my favorites, and we will make a vow that whatever Kevin does, we're going to be his cheer team, and we'll watch him as he goes forward, and we will be there to love and trust him as he has been there for us. Kevin, thank you so much. I hope you leave today fired up.